Hi everyone, welcome. So glad all of you are here. Wow, 103 people from all over. Thank you so much, Cami. My name is Nikyta Palmisani, and I do many things. And I thought I would frame this opening in terms of three circles. Like if you took a stone and you dropped it into a pond or a lake, right? That it would start with this first concentric circle very close around itself, and then eventually it would widen out, and then eventually it would touch all of the edges of that body of water. And so I want to use those three images to both introduce myself and then to talk about some of the work that we're doing here and just kick us off. As Cami said, I do a great many things. I live here on Lopez Island up in the San Juans, about 2 hours north of Seattle, for those of you not familiar with the San Juans. And for the last 7 years, previous to this year, I was a zero waste educator here on our island. And that work made me realize more and more that being at the very end of a linear waste stream was not the place I wanted to be, but I wanted to take that straight line and turn it into a circle, right, to help increase the circular economy. So I helped found and start a makerspace on Lopez Island called the Remakery, which is dedicated to the circular economy and increasing the circular economy by remaking, reusing, and repairing items locally so that they could stay here on our island. And for me, that felt like that first place of what are the actions that I could take in my role and in my local community? How can I be of service from one person myself to another? And certainly the repair cafes and all of the different classes that we offered at the Remakery are fantastic. The Remakery has continued to bloom and grow and flourish. I see our swap folks are here, and so they have beautifully taken that on and continued that work, and the repair cafes and all the things that are happening. So huge gratitude to the amazing work that they've continued to do. I realized that in my work, I needed to widen my circle. And so I have been very lucky to join Kamal from Next Cycle Washington and be part of the governance circles and accelerator and seed grant programs as part of Next Cycle's governance. And I'll talk a little bit more about that and the amazing work that Kamal does and Next Cycle does. And then I realized that I needed even to go beyond the state and my bioregion, but that it was really important to me to be working on issues around climate and climate change globally. So I also am an instructor for Terra.do, which is an online climate change school that helps mid-career professionals and people of all ages to go on a learning journey and really take their skills and pivot them toward a climate lens. And so all the work that I've done around reuse and repair and circular economy goes right in part and parcel to how we tackle some of the major critical issues that are confronting us and what are some of the things we can do. So those are the three circles, the very local, personal, the community or the bioregional, and then the global. And I feel like that the work that we're doing here, all of you are from all over, right? So many of you have makerspaces, you have repair cafes, you have tool lending libraries, you have things that you're doing in that very personal, localized community way, one-to-one, person-to-person, community-to-community, helping each other, which is amazing. I feel like it is the dominant metaphor of how do we repair our world? How do we remake our world? And it starts with literally our boots and our hands on the ground. So I'm so grateful to be part of this community of all of you who are doing that work. And then how do we scale it up? Like how do we then move into that bioregional, the statewide, or even the countrywide, policies, and really thinking about how do these actions scale? And I think the work that certainly in our state that Next Cycle Washington is doing with the accelerator program and with the seed grants and many other kinds of programs, but certainly circular PNW that Kamal was talking about is fantastic. One of the things that I teach for with Terra.do is we really support the work of a woman named Beth Swain, who does the Multi-Solving Institute. And this idea of multi-solving, how do you take problems and with one elegant solution solve multiple problems with one solution, right? So So many things get solved when we start thinking about circularity, when we start thinking about repairability. And I noticed that someone in the chat had said that we left off design as one of the most important parts of circularity. Like, how do we actually have really good design so that starts in that upstream solution and then takes us all the way through so that we know where those materials are going, we know how they're going to be collected, we have funds available, and we have policies that support that and that bring those materials back in and continue to be designed, to be repaired, to be renewed, to be remade at the end. So I feel like what we're here in this summit to do is to work on all of these levels. And I want to bring in Cami because Cami just does incredible work and is such a leader and a thinker. And her words were that she really wants to help us usher in a culture shift from a culture of use and exploitation and the self to this culture, this transformation and the shift to care and revaluing and community. So I think that is such a beautiful place for us all in these conversations to bridge, because I feel like these conversations pulse between those three domains of the self, the local, of the regional, and of the planet, because really what our planet needs is a major overhaul around how do we bring, and if you think about a planet being round, you know, circularity is already inherent in the design. So how do we take things out of that linearity, things out of, you know, landfill and waste, and how do we move them into this circularity? And I think that the coming together of the summit is exactly what we're doing. So the conversations we're about to have, the networking opportunities that we're doing, the learning from each other, even just at the very beginning, opening of the summit, the teaching each other how to rename one another, just, you know, crossing over some of these digital platforms together with best practices, and Kamal's instructions about how high-low varies, you know, from different social media platforms, and how it can help populate all of our communities, that we're here to bridge, and we're here really to be part of that culture shift. So I just want to thank all of you for arriving, and I feel very honored to be with you. I'm going to be popping in and out of the summit today because I'm juggling my many hats. But thank you all for the profound work that you're doing, helping really heal and remake the planet in a good way.